We just spent the last 6 months tearing down and rebuilding our tired 23-year-old Tacoma in hopes of taking it on a massive 10,000 kilometer journey to the Arctic Circle and through Alaska. Many countless nights went into the garage overhauling the suspension, removing an old body lift, and installing the Overland gear we need to live on the road. Things were going smoothly until progress came to a grinding halt. Hidden under the truck, I found 2 major structural cracks running along the frame rails. Old Tacomas are notorious for frame rot. Some even snap in half. Very abruptly, I had to make a choice: scrap the truck and take a big loss, or teach myself to cut, weld, and rebuild the frame from the ground up. The frame is the skeleton of the truck. Everything bolts to it, depends on it, lives by it, dies by it, and the truth was, I had no idea how to fix it. Instead of sending the Tacoma to the scrap pile, I got to work. I learned to weld, researched repair methods, tracked down parts, and followed in the footsteps of others who'd faced the same problem. It was a grind, but in the end, I rolled out of the garage with a truck that I could be proud of, one that just might have another 250,000 miles in it and make it to the Arctic Circle. Now it's time to put my welds and this old Tacoma to the test, against some of the harshest roads and the wildest environments in Alberta, British Columbia, the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Alaska.
Rain, it's really coming down now. Starting to hail now too. It keeps getting worse and worse. Beginning of the Dempster Highway. The Arctic Circle! Welcome to Alaska!
Welcome to chicken.
Holy man, we are pushing off, leaving Calgary. I just closed my garage door, rolling down the alleyway to the main road here. Won't be home for at least 6 weeks. This is crazy. I can't believe that our journey to Alaska is starting today. We are all packed up. Man, it took a while to pack it, everything sorted, but it's all in the truck. Allison will be joining me in Whitehorse in a week from now. She's gonna be flying in. So it's just John and I until then, until we see Allison in Whitehorse. So let's get after it. It's a rainy day in Calgary today. Gonna go get some breakfast before we get out of town and then get on the road north. We're going about between 400 and 500 kilometers a day up to Whitehorse. So Whitehorse is our first checkpoint of the trip. Let's start making some miles.
The purpose of this journey isn't to glamorize overlanding. There are plenty of other YouTube channels that are already showcasing the cinematic side of it. For me, this trip is about proving something to myself. Reaching the Arctic Circle isn't an impossible feat. Anyone with a reliable vehicle can make it happen. Still, the remoteness of certain areas makes it feel like a true adventure. My main goals are to test the mechanical work that I've put into the Tacoma, show that you don't need the latest and greatest truck to have an incredible experience, and to explore parts of this continent that I've never seen. I love discovering new places and cultures, and I think it's amazing that a vehicle can be the gateway to those experiences. To me, the driver's seat is one of the best places in the world to experience life. Over the next 6 weeks, we're on a mission to take ourselves and our vehicles from Calgary all the way to Tuktoyaktuk, the northernmost point you can drive in Canada. I want to see what lies at the end of the road and truly discover where the sidewalk ends. From Tuk, we'll head south to Anchorage, Alaska, a city that's been on my must-see list for a long time, so it'll be great to finally scratch that itch. Anchorage is also close to Anchor Point, another geographically significant location, the westernmost point you can drive in North America. If you couldn't tell, I have a thing for geographical landmarks. From there, we'll make our way to Valdez, Alaska, check out the harbor and the fishing boats, and then tackle the 3,000-kilometer journey back home to Calgary.
Rolling into the town of Sundre here, little town just northwest of Calgary. I always like Sundre, it's a beautiful little town. Not much going on here, but that's why it's so charming. We are going down this little bush track trail, hopefully down to the Athabasca River here. Not really sure. It looks like it gets a little bit muddy. The grass is all overgrown. It looks very overgrown, but we're hoping that it gets us down to the river for a nice scenic camp spot. No. Ultimate failure met by a fence, a gate. No go. Unfortunately, another dead end at the end of this overgrown track. No flat spots. The road just sort of fizzles out into nothing. So we are continuing to look. It's getting later in the evening now. Coming up on 7:30. Hopefully we can find something soon.
There's nothing better than rolling into camp at the end of a long driving day. Day one of this adventure is officially in the books, and the clock is already ticking. We've got 4 more days now to reach Whitehorse and pick up Allison. If we're going to meet her at the airport on time, we can't afford any major delays. These next few days will be mostly highway miles, breaking up the drive with quick overnight camps. But once we hit Whitehorse, that's when the real adventure begins. The hard part of this drive is primarily the distance needing to be covered. Our maps are indicating almost another 20 hours of driving before we get there. It's starting to feel like we may have bit off a little more than we can chew.
Just getting into Valley View, Alberta. We had to stop in Whitecourt to have my tires rebalanced because on the highway I was getting a terrible vibration around 90 to 100 kilometers an hour. So I said, you know, I cannot drive like this all the way up to Tuktoyaktuk. I gotta make a stop and have these things looked at. And I thought that they were balanced properly, so I thought, well, if they've already been balanced recently, you know, there's not much a tire shop's going to be able to do for me. But I went in, I took the tires and I took the truck into just a local tire shop in Whitecourt, and they said, hey, it looks like these were not even balanced at all. There's no weights on the there was an error somewhere, and they mounted the tires on the wheels because I had that done right before we left. New set of wheels and tires, steel wheels on all-terrain tires. Notoriously hard to balance that combination together, but the tire shop mounted them. It looks like they forgot to balance them or whatever, so I had driven a couple hundred Ks on unbalanced tires on the highway, which was a nightmare. Thankfully now everything is smooth, going between 90 and 110 Ks an hour. It's so much better than it was yesterday, so I'm thankful for that. This is now the farthest north I've ever been. We're coming up to Grand Prairie. I have never been further north than Edmonton, actually. So this is all new country for me. Grand Prairie is going to be awesome to see. I know it's a big oil and gas town because you're getting kind of close to the big oil sectors up north. And today we're going to be ending in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. All of these names on these, the towns and the names on the maps that I've looked at for years and years, and I've never actually been this far north. It's kind of crazy. We're still just technically just starting the trip, and we're only a couple hundred kilometers from Calgary. But it feels like we're getting further and further north, and to me this feels like the absolute top of the world right now, right? But we still have all of the Yukon to go in the Northwest Territories and those areas. So there's this is a big continent. Just starting to realize, you look at a map and you think, oh, that's pretty big, but you're doing the miles and you realize just how massive it is. Just to get out of Alberta north to south, it takes a heck of a long time.
We make a quick stop off in Grand Prairie and the surrounding areas to soak up the unique feel of the northern prairies. Rolling fields stretch as far as the eye can see, punctuated by clusters of trees and the occasional farmstead. There's a quiet, expansive energy here, one of those places that makes you slow down and really notice the sky, the wind, and the rhythm of the land. It's a brief pause in our journey, but it's the kind of scenery that lingers in your mind long after you've moved on. John tells me that he's never actually seen a canola field and is mesmerized by the bright yellow glow of the rolling fields. We remedy that situation by making a stop to spend some time amongst one of the most popular and vibrant crops in the province. It isn't long now before we reach the first real milestone of this adventure, the Alcan Highway.
So we just pulled over off the side of the highway. John really wanted to check out these canola fields. Do you not see canola very often?
Never seen it.
Never seen canola. We see a lot of canola in Alberta, but that lime green or that really neon yellow is just very eye-catching. So it's really awesome. It's definitely canola season, and what a view! Just with the fields and all the tall grass and everything, and there's granaries off in the distance. It's a really good good Alberta feel right now.
That's pretty bad. Mine came out like a few months later. Okay, good camera, bad phone. Are you guys brothers?
No. All right, so we reached the world famous sign, the start of the Alaska Highway in Dawson Creek, BC. It's all north from here. We've made a couple miles so far. This is definitely a big milestone.
We did it. This is just the start.
This is the starting point.
The Alaska-Canada Highway, better known as the Alcan, is a legendary road stretching over 2,200 kilometers from Dawson Creek, British Columbia to Delta Junction, Alaska. Built in 1942 during World War II, it was a joint effort between the United States and Canada to create a supply route to Alaska in case of a Japanese invasion. What began as a rough military road carved through the wilderness has since become one of the most iconic drives in North America, connecting remote northern communities and offering travelers a direct route through some of the continent's most rugged and beautiful landscapes. We'll be traveling along the Alcan Highway over the next several days as we make our way towards Whitehorse. From there, we'll leave the Alcan and follow the Klondike Highway, which leads deep into the northern reaches of the Yukon. We won't rejoin the Alcan until we reach Tok, Alaska, after making the journey south from Tuktoyaktuk. It's hard to imagine everything the coming weeks has in store, but for now, we're focused on taking it one day at a time.
SK. UR3E.
Yeah. Trying to get down to the river here on this four-wheel drive track. We're hoping that there's some camp spots down at the bottom of this trail. The river is in this very, very deep gorge. We have to keep going down this trail, and it's getting pretty rutted out. Well, we found the riverbed down a bit of a washed out trail there. Nothing too sketchy, but ended up at this beautiful river gravel bar sort of area. So it's starting to rain pretty good here. We're just under the awning, thankfully. That was a good choice. I was anticipating a little bit of rain, so the guys at Tuktoyaktuk were able to hook me up with an awning. Super thankful for that, because it's coming in mighty handy this evening at camp. There's a little bit of thunder rolling through the gorge and the hills here, and we're just hoping it doesn't hit us too hard, because I don't know what would happen if a rooftop tent got struck by lightning, and I don't really want to find out. It's just a big metal structure that's sticking up in the air, and somehow that does not go well with lightning in my mind. So the silver lining is, though, we are seeing a little bit of sunshine on the horizon. We're hoping that this storm will just pass us by, but for now, it's just a little bit of a drizzle. Not too bad.
That's pretty far away, but I want to hurry up.
Holy man. Oh my god.
Oh, that's not what you want, is it?
Did you hear that? How many seconds away was that? Did you count?
Oh, it was a decent amount.
I got like 8 seconds.
Yeah.
What was that, 8 miles then?
Thunderstorms persist late into the evening, but thankfully never get too close. We're now into day 3, which means making miles towards Whitehorse is becoming increasingly important. The first 2 days have been relatively smooth, and we hope to keep up our pace of 400 kilometers a day.
So we're just driving up the Alaska Highway, pulling off at little abandoned hotels and forgotten places along the side of the road. It's really interesting. The only other traffic up here is like oil and gas pickup trucks or other travelers. There's not really any commuters out here, which has been super interesting. You know, we'll pass a couple of trucks with campers on the back, which is super cool, and then pass 100 oil and gas units, and then pass these old abandoned places. So lots of stuff on the side of the Alaska Highway to check out.
While I top off on fuel, John seems to have found a friend.
Friendly guy. Oh, he's in your truck.
The friend seems to have found themselves at home in the Tacoma.
Don't mind if I do.
I'm not sure what Allison would think if I picked her up from the airport with a newly found gas station cat stowaway.
Is that good luck or is that bad luck?
I think it's good luck.
A place like this really reminds me of the outback in Australia, crossing the Nullarbor, where every couple 100 kilometers you have a roadhouse. It's really similar. You have your fuel station, your restaurant, and a place to camp out back. So some striking similarities between the outback and the Alaska Highway in British Columbia. Kind of cool.
Wait, kitty.
Coming into Fort Nelson, we stop for a motorcyclist that's pulled over in the shoulder and having troubles. He tells us that the wheel bearing on his trailer has just about turned to dust.
Just pulled off on the side of the road here for this motorcyclist who lost a bearing on his trailer. The wheel is just, it looks like the wheel's gonna come off. It looks like he's gonna lose a wheel. He said he's gonna try to limp it back into town because we're just about 20 kilometers out of Fort Nelson now. So I don't know if he's gonna make it. He's driving in the shoulder.
We offer the Alaskan biker a ride into town, but he politely declines, confident that he'll be able to limp the bike and trailer back into town to have the bearing replaced. Stopping and offering assistance to fellow travelers is always the right thing to do. You just never know when you'll be the one with the blown out wheel bearing or other problem that needs a helping hand. It's a good idea to pay it forward when you're out on the road.
All right, well, there's an old saying, if a bear poops in the woods, or wait, hold on. All right, well, you know the old saying, does a bear poop in the woods? Yes, they do. But the question is, when we poop in the woods, and if a bear comes, what do?
Walk of shame.
We've been carrying around this stuff, and I don't even know if it actually works. So I want to make sure that it actually goes off, because I think I've had this in the truck for like 2 years. So I got my little safety glasses on here. I'm gonna give her a little test on a little safety clip. All right. Oh, it does work. All right. Well, let's see if it'll stop a bear. Because we are on the frontier, supposedly.
Day 4 of our Alaska, Yukon, Tuktoyaktuk adventure here. Had a good night at camp. It has been raining on and off for a long time. I mean, basically since we started the trip. When we left Calgary, it was raining, and it has rained on and off. It's pretty much rained every day, every night at camp. So last night we got rain overnight. It drizzled. Thankfully, no thunderstorms, because I'm just really not a fan of thunderstorms at camp. I've had some really bad experiences in the past where lightning has struck in a little bit too close. Thankful to not have had to deal with a thunderstorm last night, but man, the rain, it's pretty crazy how wet it gets up here. Today we're going to be stopping at an interesting little hot spring, and from there we're going to be heading the rest of the way up to Watson Lake. So we're going to be crossing out of British Columbia twice today, actually. We're going to be crossing into the Yukon. We're going to be crossing into the Yukon and then back down into British Columbia and then back up into the Yukon. What do you think?
It's getting pretty crazy. Feel like it's a big country.
Tucked away in northern British Columbia along the Alaska Highway is the Liard River Hot Springs, one of the most remarkable natural stops in the north. The springs sit within a lush boreal rainforest that feels almost tropical thanks to the consistent steam rising from the warm mineral waters. Known for being the second largest hot spring in Canada, Liard has been a welcome resting point for travelers since the highway was built.
The further you go this way, the hotter and hotter it gets, and you can see the water boiling over there.
It's a real treat to sink into the springs and recharge after spending several long days behind the wheel of the trucks.
This is wild. Oh, you can go all the way to the end here.
After 4 days of steady driving north, we finally reached Canada's Yukon territory. It feels like a huge milestone, yet it's wild to realize how little ground we've actually covered in the grand scale of this journey. This landmass is massive, and every mile reminds me of just how vast and remote it really is. Whitehorse is now within reach, with only a handful of stops left before we roll into the city. One of those stops is the world-famous Signpost Forest in Watson Lake.
This place is incredible. So many signs to read, so much to read, so much to see. Getting deep into the, I see an Australia sign.
This has to be one of the coolest roadside stops you'll ever find. The Signpost Forest began in 1942 when a homesick U.S. Army soldier working on the Alaska Highway put up a sign pointing to his hometown in Illinois. Other travelers soon added their own, and over the decades, the collection has grown into a forest of more than 80,000 signs from around the world. Today it stands as both an attraction and a living scrapbook of the countless people who have passed through on their own adventures. I think of it as the northern cousin of Seattle's Gum Wall, one of those funky offbeat collections that captures human curiosity and connection. But I'd have to say the Signpost Forest truly takes the cake.
What I'm really interested in is how did these people get these signs, these big signs from like Europe and Africa? Did they pack them in their suitcase? You know, are you traveling with this giant sign from Germany to then drive it up here to the Yukon and nail it to a tree in the Signpost Forest? Like how did people get these signs up here? Some of them are massive and they're from across the world. You can get a little lost back in here. It's just 360. There's just signs, 360 degrees. It's crazy. Stepping out of the truck here, this is supposedly my camp spot for the evening. Down by the water. Hopefully there's nobody here. Wow. This is incredibly beautiful, but incredibly not level. It's very, very not level. Looks like somebody's put sticks and rocks here to level out their truck. Look at that, right on the water. Holy man. I think we can make this work.
This is the last camp spot before reaching Whitehorse, and it's the best one yet. Situated along Little Atlin Lake, I level off the truck before settling in for the evening. As we're only a few hundred kilometers now from Whitehorse, John has decided to go ahead and make the push into the city tonight. We split up with the intent of meeting back up tomorrow afternoon after I collect Allison from the airport.
Wow, what a spot this is. Lucked out with this one. Right by the water, got the truck almost level. The sun's out, it's not raining for now.
First night camping in the Yukon, and it is delivering.
It did in fact rain that evening, but sometimes you just have to take the good with the bad. And I'd say this is pretty good.
Whitehorse!
On my way to Whitehorse to catch up with the boys.
On my way to the airport, Allison just texted me saying she's at baggage claim.